All right, so next up what we want to do is we want to get our audio exported all the way out and get it ready for layback with the video. So this is where, I mean, I'm blasting through this step, but this is where you would, as a mixing engineer, sound designer, composer, this is where you're going to spend most of your time doing all the sound design and getting your scene set up, getting it sound good. So maybe you're doing something for National Geographic and you have elephants walking by and you want to do footsteps, or you have a helicopter flying in and you want to make it sound like it's coming from overhead. And so you're going to do some automation and sound design and, again, composition. So this is, again, where you're going to spend most of your time doing all the sound design. I'm blasting through a lot of this stuff, so I'm just gonna really oversimplify things right now. So what we've got here is, well, let's just like get a quick listen on this. Oops, not doing binaural right now. There we go. The way I could tell I wasn't doing binaural, it just didn't sound like it. And also looking at my meters, I could see that I was running with 4 tracks. We wanted to make sure that we see 2 tracks. Cool. Yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. And we have in sync. So the one of the most crucial and important things with this is that you never change this. I don't know if you can lock this one in place with this with Reaper, but in like Nuendo and stuff like that, I can lock the position so you can't scoot it, you can't move it. The original video one, this is what comes from the video. So what we're going to export is exactly the same length as the importing. So when we replace the audio file in the original video, it's exactly the same length so that everything stays in sync. Because if for whatever reason something gets pushed out like this and you bounce it down and things are going to be out of sync, and that's going to cause all sorts of headaches. So make sure that if anything else, that this top track is always going to be like the master, like synchronization. If you have sync points, you could drop markers for cues and that sort of thing. But right now we can see that this is actually a little bit too long, and so that's okay. We're not going to actually use this. There's our ways to trim. Like the snapping tools in Reaper are weird to me, so I still haven't quite figured some of that out, but I can work past that for right now. So what we need to do is we want to bounce this thing out. So now the problem is if I just bounce right now, it's going to bounce out to the entire session. And so it's going to bounce out to this point right here. We don't want it to. So the safest way to make sure that this works, well, what you could do is you could go to the end of this, whoops. You could go to the end of here. And I don't know if that's actually the end of it. I don't know how you actually like locate. Again, it doesn't snap to this. So, and you could just trim off this stuff right here, but I'm not going to do that. I watched a couple videos on trimming and stuff and snap and editing. It's a little wonky. I don't have time to learn it right now, so I'm just going to go with what I know. So I'm going to grab this one. So we want to create our in and out points right here. So this is, if we were to go down and bounce this down right now, we could say bounce just the selection, but we want to marry this selection to this. Well, actually, we want to marry this selection to this clip. So I'm going to say extend, where was that? Set selection to items. So I have this one selected, and so that this is now the in and out points. And now what I need to do is I need to create a region. And this is actually kind of a cool thing that Reaper does, is that you can create these export regions. So I do think that's kind of neat. So we've got this selection right now, essentially our in and out selection points. And then I'm going to say create region from selection. So we've got a region up here. And I think you can rename that using your regions manager. But really what we're saying is now that this region, so now I can still continue editing and just knowing that this region right here is married to this. And so even if I deleted this one right here, that's okay, because this now is exactly the same length as the original audio file. Again, can't stress that enough. That's crazy, crazy, crazy important that your exported audio file is exactly the same length as the original one, because we're replacing something out and it's got to look exactly the same. Like Indiana Jones when he swaps the item with the sandbag. It's got to be exactly the same so that nobody notices. But of course he screwed that up and almost died. Okay. Now let's just let's go through and export this thing. So I don't know it's render. What we call this master. We want to do a region. So all the regions in the product, selected regions. I want this one. Select the media items. Which one is that? Oh. Oh, I have to grab it. I mean, I think this thing can get really cool. Let's see. So I want to use this one. So I'm not selecting any regions right now. Selected regions. Do I have to select this region? Master mix. Oh, there it was. Okay, my bad. So we want to use the source as the master mix, the master output. We want to go selected regions. That was my so you could choose different ones, but selected regions because I just have one right now. It's fine. One region, and you could do more with these over here. Again, kind of cool. You could do some pretty clever, sophisticated export type stuff in here. Let's go. I'm gonna put this back into. Oops, I guess that was showed it right there. No, I'm gonna put this back in the main folder that on the desktop that I'm using. Trains. Let's use that. I'm gonna call the name train 1 for 360. We want this to be 48K. 4-channel. Full speed offline. Wave 24. So we could go. I don't know what the optimized settings are, so I'm going to let the system decide. I'm going to go down to 16 just because if we're going to web, it's probably a good idea. I'm not going to write the right broadcast wave chunk. Cool. So you can actually do a render queue, which is kind of neat. Oops. I want to go back and render this thing. Cool. So let's get that. Let me make sure that looks good. Oh, dang it. Let's go back to master mix. One region. There we go. 4-channel. Cool. Let's make sure everything looks good. 4-channel. Yep. So let's render it. Whoops. If you didn't see where that's cool that it gave me that. Do you see where I screwed it up? If you didn't, let's go take a look. So right now it's going to render out the binaural version of this thing. So what I have to do is go in here and turn off the binaural because what we want to do is kick out just the 4-track ambisonic track of this thing. So let's go back and render this thing. Master matrix, select regions. One region. Good. I'm going to say overwrite this thing. Cool. That looks good. We're seeing all the files. So this is W. This is overall amplitude. X, Y, Z. That's actually really cool. Cool. And now we have that over here. And what you should probably do, train for 360 wave. What we should probably do at this point is go in and audition it in binaural, make sure that it's actually doing what it's supposed to be doing, and make sure that the mix is really good. I'll let you leave that up to you. I don't have time for that right now, so let's just keep moving on here. Okay. So we're done with Reaper at this point. Save it, close it. Done with the video player. Save it, close it. And now what we want to do is get this thing optimized and ready to upload for YouTube. And what I've got is, where is that link? I'll post this link somewhere else where you can see it in it better, but where was that link? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. What we need to do now is we need to fold back the audio into the video. So in other words, replace the audio with the video. So, and to do that, we're going to use FFmpeg. So I'm going to do that as a separate video, just because I think it's a lot to take in to do this all in one fell swoop. So I'll come back right after this and we'll do this as a separate video.